Welcome back, everybody. This is Rodrigo with another episode of Asheville Real Estate News. Today, we're doing something a little bit different. Nolan is joining me on the show. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and so today we're actually going to be recapping. We went to a chamber event, Chamber After Hours here in Asheville, and the focus of the event was the development that's happening in North Charlotte Street area, the South Charlotte Street area, what they're calling a road diet for the north, and then some affordable housing options in the south part of Charlotte Street. But before we even jump into that, as always, I want to say a big shout out, big thank you to American IRA, our local IRA custodian here in Asheville. They sponsor this show, so we're very appreciative, obviously, for the work that they do and allowing us to put this on for you guys every week. So let's dive into it, Nolan. I know we went, and it was kind of cool. The city was really well prepared in their presentation, in my opinion. Had some really good facts, slideshows, and they're going to share that with online with everybody. But did you have any major right off the bat takeaways without diving into anything?
I don't know, without diving into anything.
Well, not no rabbit trails, right? Just like surface at the moment.
I think I agree with you. Like they were well organized. They had quite a few. I guess were they city council? What were they?
No, it was depending who was talking. It was just a combination of planning and zoning.
Okay, just
the
different
city, the city work, and affordable housing committee. I think is what is the title. But yeah,
fair enough. One thing I think we kind of talked about, like I think once you saw it, I guess some throughout through the chamber, and we kind of couldn't find it again.
Yeah.
So it was a pretty small thing, although there were probably like 20, 25 people there. Another takeaway is the fact that like they're starting these conversations now, but anything won't happen until like the fall of this year. So I think it's just kind of like a takeaway from like how slow government has to move. Like they have to have like 6 meetings just to talk about it to even do anything.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity for there to be community involvement or feedback, and I wrote down some of those dates. So I'm gonna check my notes as we go through this. But let's start with the first part, the north side of Charlotte Street. Had you ever heard of what a road diet was?
No, I had not. But it was pretty. Once they talked about what they were doing, like it's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah. So in theory, at least understanding what a road diet was, walking away from that, and after talking to a couple of people who presented is. So North Charlotte Street, right now is 2 lanes going each way. And so what it's going to eventually happen, if everything gets approved and goes as planned, is there's going to be 1 lane of traffic going each way with a middle lane for left-hand turns each direction, and then a bike lane on each side. So in a sense, it reduces traffic, but it also is more efficient and creates a better experience for pedestrians and bikers on that corridor. Personally, I think makes a lot of sense. I know sometimes on Charlotte Street, right at the corner where City Bakery is and the Fuddruckers, can take a long time to go left, and vice versa.
Merriman's the worst in that. It's a road diet.
It definitely does. And of course, the biking component, that's definitely a good thing as well. I thought it was really cool how they were doing really intentional effort as far as bringing anybody who lives in and around Charlotte Street area, creating lots of opportunities for them to give feedback on their plans.
Yeah, well, I think, they kind of have to do that anyway, just because, they're trying to do it to make it better for everyone, including people who live there, so I think it's obviously a good idea to have feedback from people as well. Yeah,
so the first date, I'm going to show, and we'll include this in the show notes, but the first date is February 19th, and that's happened at the JCC, the Jewish Community Center. And if you guys just look that up, they're going to be doing 2 meetings that day. They didn't have the times when we met there, unfortunately. But we'll track those down. They'll be in the show notes as far as what times, 2 opportunities for you to go and just talk about and give some community input. One thing, though, that they mentioned is if you're going to go to the meetings, it would be really helpful to Google road diets so you have an opportunity to see some camera views and see some functioning road diets and the conversions that some other cities have gone through already. And there's a lot of information about this already on the website. So if you guys plan on going to the meeting, I encourage you guys to check that out. So yeah, let's talk about the South Charlotte Street. I thought that was a really interesting project that they have going on as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. The South is quite a bit more interesting and a lot more going on the South End than the North End, which seems to be just really the road reconfigurement. But yeah, I think the South End's actually pretty exciting. We're talking about the part from like the ABC store kind of to where the Public Works building is, like that stretch in the middle.
So
right?
It's Beaumont Street is what it is, all the way down to where the ABC store, etc., which is Biltmore Avenue.
Yeah, right. And so I guess ultimately the plan is that's city-owned land, so the plan is they have a lot of facilities there that are used by the city, like I guess like truck refueling stations and storage and like mechanic shops.
And it's also where if you're doing any construction here in the city of Asheville, so you're going for your permits and things like that nature as well.
Are they going to tear down that building?
Well, it's included potentially, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was wondering about that because there were some parts where they didn't really have it shown, and other parts where it looked like it was shown, and that's a relatively new building. So I was curious if they would. They could probably reformat it and leave the shell or something, but
I mean that goes to show, right, how much of this is still in theory conversations. Right. There's nothing official happening yet. These are conversations that are, for all intents and purposes, early stage, right?
Yeah. So I mean, just as I was talking about all the city facilities there, like it would be a big investment for the city to knock all that down, redevelop, and obviously they're not going to do it themselves, but they also have to relocate all their current subsidiaries, if that's the right word.
Well, anything that's there right now, they talked, and I thought it was really interesting that they used like Greenville as an example of an option of just like, where do you put, if there's a city-owned vehicle, what do you do if it's doing work in South Asheville and say the fueling station's in North Asheville? Like, how do you address that? Right now, it's very centrally located, so anybody can get back to it. And I didn't ever even consider that as far as, the dynamics, and I just went to show how many moving pieces there are to make anything happen.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So, I wanted to touch on this thing. I kind of meant to mention at the beginning, but we talk a lot about how many people are moving to Asheville, and like people are coming here from everywhere and whatnot. I was surprised to hear the number that they mentioned was 1,200 people a year moving to Asheville.
No, I agree.
Did that sound high or low to you?
It sounded, I would say low. It sounded
it sounded low to me as well.
In the grand scheme of things, I don't know what the population is, but if there's only 1,200 people moving here a year, it doesn't seem like that much to be all the rage as far as I had an Uber driver the other day, and he said I was the 27th person in 5 or 6 years that was from Asheville that he had driven around.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty crazy.
Well, I think it's just right now that's something everybody's talking about. It's a hot topic definitely as far as, what are we doing with all of this? On that note, want to do affordable housing. This is what the term that the city was using last night when we were talking, or 2 nights ago when we heard the presentation. And we've talked about this on the show before, but just again, affordable housing, and these are numbers that came from the presentation, is 30% of your gross income for housing. Right now, the median income for the area, for the Greater Asheville area, is $39,818 a year, so just shy of $40,000, which meant that, in theory, rent should be $995 a month. I think all of us could agree that arguably those numbers, ratio when you live them out personally don't add up. I think most people are probably making, if you are making, say, around $40,000 a year, you're still probably paying more than $995 a month, even if you're making less. So I thought, it's just a good reminder that there's something that needs to be figured out here, and by all definition, the numbers aren't matching up. Especially when you look at it, again, numbers from the city, average rent for Asheville is $1,100, $1,148 a month. So what do you think when they're talking about that and the proposal for what they're going to do with that city? Or with the land that the city has?
Yeah, I did want to touch back on the Charlotte Street, the South End.
Yeah.
But I think this is pretty common. I've read books where they even say, financially, you're supposed to, rent is a third of your income, basically. So I think that's pretty standard, no matter where you are. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I thought it was pretty interesting as far as the South Charlotte Street development. They're going to have somewhere around 500 units there in total. Mm-hmm. And from the sketches and preliminary drawings they have, it looks like it'll be a nice development and a good thing for the city and a nice thing to have on that side of town. Mm-hmm. And they're really raising the density there, and to be able to accomplish that much
Well, as I said, they want to get a bang for their buck, right?
Yeah.
So they've got, I think, 7.5 acres there. Do you remember what the project number estimated cost would be to do that?
They say 70 million?
70 million, yeah. So the 70 million, the question was raised at the meeting on Monday, and the conversation was like, hey, the 70 million, is that, obviously the city itself isn't going to be doing the work, so it's going to be through some outside third-party contractors going to come in and do the development. Do those numbers allow for there to be a return on investment on their part? Do the numbers make sense for somebody who's not vested in, Asheville housing per se, but just doing the work? And they said that the way they'd run their numbers, it did. And in theory, right now, the way they're going to set it up is it's going to be all rental units, but they did mention that they might switch it over to doing a combination of like condos and rentals and commercial space.
Yeah, and that would be affordable condos. They said somewhere around like 100, 120,000.
Yeah, 125. Yeah, that's right. So, which would be a good starting point for here in Asheville for sure, especially walking distance to downtown. And that's the other thing I thought was really cool is they want to make it a very good neighborhood type of thing.
Yeah.
The supermarket I thought was a pretty cool. They kind of talked about that for a while. Do you remember about wanting to have a family grocery store or something that people wouldn't have to go to like Tunnel Road or to Merriman or anywhere else to go grocery shopping?
No, I don't know. I must have missed that whole
Yeah,
thing.
but I thought that was cool because they're focusing on being a walkable community, something that wouldn't require for you to have a vehicle or easy access to a vehicle, something that's all accessible on foot. So, let's see here. Well, the last thing I wanted to ask you too is, I know that the city gets a lot of, there's frustration with the city sometimes about what they're doing or what they're not doing. And I think it was refreshing for me personally to go have this presentation and really feel that they were really well prepared. They knew what they were talking about. They'd done their research. Every question that they were asked, they were able to handle it easily. What was your thought about just the general appearance or feel of the presentation?
Oh, no, I agree. It was very, in my opinion, you never know what you're going to get. As far as people who are turning out, are they there because they're not happy about it? Are they there because they're on board? And it seemed like everyone there was pretty on board. Everyone from the questions was asked. And like you said, the city was able to handle every question they were asked, especially the one about, are you looking at this from an investor standpoint?
Mm-hmm.
Is somebody actually interested in taking this project on? And they definitely were. And so, yeah, like we talked about in the beginning, they were very well prepared. Their presentation was smooth,
mm-hmm.
and they had 5 or 6 different people from the city there in different departments, and
mm-hmm.
I thought it was great.
Yeah, no, as well. One of the things that also I thought was really cool, wanted to highlight is they mentioned that the city wants to do more when it comes to affordable housing, and they mentioned 4 things that specifically that the city is working on and actively doing. So it's the city can serve as a lender, so they can lend through the bond program as far as anybody who's looking to do any sort of development. That they can also use the land as incentive grants. They have some grant programs tied into MSD, and they also had do some tax credits for low-income housing and whatnot. So I think, again, it just shows that there is desire to get things done, even though it's really a tough, complicated issue. We're hoping that we're going to be able to have one of these episodes soon with somebody from the city where we can dive into these a lot more depth, because it's a complex issue. We came away feeling rejuvenated, I guess, refreshed as far as things are happening and excited about the way things are being approached. But, there's still a lot of unknowns.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, I think even the city has all the unknowns, because like I said, they still have to go through all these planning meetings, and I think they said they're going to the city council at the end of February.
Yeah.
To, I guess, present their plans and stuff like that. And they're also working on somewhat rezoning in the North Charlotte Street. Was that right?
It might be. Yeah, it's part of the density thing, or sorry, part of the road diet could be that, as far as turning things from community business 1 and community business 2 and changing those, leaving them or adding to it, etc. So again, if you're interested on North Charlotte Street, February 19th, you kind of have to be there. It sounds like it'll be an important date to keep an eye out. Any follow-up thoughts or anything, closing thoughts as we, I know it's a kind of a quicker one, but we wanted to just recap it.
Yeah. No, I really don't have any additional closing statements or thoughts.
Okay, cool. All right, you guys. Well, as always, appreciate you guys tuning in. Just as a reminder, tomorrow, when you listen to this, tomorrow is our monthly meetup. It's, is that correct?
Yeah, you're right. I was like, no, it's not tomorrow.
Oh, okay. No, when you listen to this, it'll be tomorrow, February 6th. We're over at Architect Brewing. Big shout out to them for helping host, and they're great hosts for us. I would love to see you guys there if you haven't come out yet. It is a great group of people that we have. Look forward to seeing you all then. All right, until next week, you guys. Take care.